Remember when people called Palworld Pokemon with guns? Yeah, at that time everyone thought it was just a meme and that it would stay that way. A weird fever dream of a game mixing monster collecting, survival mechanics, and assault rifles. But then, it dropped. And everything changed. What was once seen as a knockoff turned into one of the most successful indie game launches in history, and also served as a wake-up call to the bigger game studios. Today we're diving into how Palworld went from a viral joke to one of the biggest releases in the gaming world. We'll explore the studio behind it, why it worked, and how it's changing the way we look at monster taming games. This is the story of Palworld, the game that people didn't expect to work, but it did. Before we break down the success, let's actually talk about Palworld. Developed by Pocketpair, Palworld is an open-world survival game where players capture and battle creatures called pals. You can build bases, farm resources, craft gear, fight enemies, and yes, you can hand your adorable little critters AK-47s and throw them into battle. It mixes elements from, for example, Pokemon with the entire collecting monsters aspect. It also gets inspiration from Ark Survival with the entire base building and survival aspects, Minecraft with the exploration and crafting, and Legend of Zelda with the open world traversal. Needless to say, it takes inspiration from a lot of places and combines it all into one beautiful game. On paper, it sounds like a chaotic blend of genres, but as we know, if execution is done correctly, it can make everything work, and this game is no exception. It works surprisingly well. What makes Palworld so fascinating is how it leans into the chaos. It is very self-aware of what it is. It knows it's weird, it knows it's meme-worthy, and it never stops being fun. I would also love to hear from you guys. Did you ever try out Palworld? And if you did, what's your favorite pal? I know everybody has one. I'll tell you my favorite pal, it's the Blaze Owl, because I love lions, I love tigers, I love all the big cats, you know, meow. Anyways, back to the video. Let's rewind a bit. Pocketpair is a small indie studio from Japan. Before Palworld, they released a couple of titles, Growtopia being one of the most notable. That game was basically a mix of a dozen different mechanics from other popular games mashed into one chaotic sandbox. It was janky, messy, but also kind of fun, and it gave Pocketpair the confidence to experiment. The team realized that there was a hunger for open-ended experimental games with crazy systems and freedom, so Palworld's development began. The idea was simple: what if we had some Pokemon style game but a bit darker? And also with guns. They released the first trailer back in mid-2021 and people lost it. Some laughed, some were confused, some were genuinely interested. Either way, the internet paid attention, and that would be the beginning of something big. If there's one thing Pocketpair nailed, it was the marketing. They understood the power of memes. The very first trailer leaned into the absurdity of it all, pals wielding shotguns, crafting factories using monsters like tools, and dramatic music that felt completely out of place for a game with such cute characters. It was pretty much perfect. YouTubers reacted, Twitter threads blew up, memes were everywhere. People started saying things like Pokemon with labor camps and this is illegal but I love it. And Pocketpair didn't try to shy away from these jokes either. They embraced them. They tweeted funny clips, replied to fans, and stayed extremely online. They leaned into the chaos. And this meant that Palworld had a massive community before even launching. Palworld launched in early access on January 19th, 2024, and it exploded. In just 24 hours, it had sold over 1 million copies, and within 3 days, it crossed 5 million. And by the end of the first week, over 8 million copies. It peaked at over 2.1 million concurrent players on Steam, becoming one of the most played games in Steam history, right up there with PUBG, CSGO, and Dota 2. Let me say that again. An indie game from a small Japanese studio with a budget far smaller than AAA titles became one of the top games on Earth. Insane. So why? Why did it blow up like this? Let's break down the key ingredients to Palworld's success. Genre fusion done well. Palworld doesn't just copy other games, it blends mechanics really well. The creature collecting is really rewarding, survival elements give you long-term goals, building and automation feel satisfying, almost the same sort of feel that we're seeing with Schedule 1 with the automation, and the combat was surprisingly fun and really polished. Of course the game had its bugs and glitches, but it felt really polished, especially compared to other AAA titles. It taps into multiple gaming cravings all at once, so it appeals to survival fans, Pokemon fans, crafting game fans, and even shooter fans. And that leads us to the second thing, freedom of play. You can play how you want. Want to build a peaceful farm? You can do that. Want to raid enemy camps with a team of gun-toting pals? Go ahead, nobody's stopping you. Want to create an unethical labor empire? I mean, it's a bit weird, but okay, just do it. There's no one right way to play, and that makes the game feel personal. At number 3, we have the humor and shock factor. Let's be real. The whole pals with gun thing is hilarious. It gets people talking, and it was easily one of the driving factors in the popularization of the game. The first things most people heard about this game is that it's Pokemons with guns. Even if you don't care about monster games, you're curious enough to click it, and once you're in, the game actually does deliver. At number 4, it's still a good game. This is one of the key factors of it. Underneath the memes and chaos, Palworld is just a fun game. It's not perfect, it was still in early access after all, but it runs surprisingly well, has a ton of content, and feels polished for what it was. People stayed because it was good, not just funny, because a game can be super fun. If the gameplay itself is really rough around the edges, the game will last like a day or two. But Palworld's mechanics, combat, and everything in the game felt surprisingly polished, especially for a game in early access. Of course, with great success comes great controversy. Palworld faced a lot of criticism from day one. Some accused it of blatantly ripping off Pokemon designs, others questioned the ethics of using labor systems in the game. There were think pieces about whether or not Palworld was a parody, a critique, or just unhinged fun. And I personally tend to tilt a bit more towards the unhinged fun, although there are some pals that feel a bit too similar to the Pokemons. Like, they have their fair share of unique designs, but there are some that get a bit too close, and a lot of Nintendo fans were furious. The Pokemon Company even said that they were investigating the situation, though nothing concrete ever came from it. But here's the thing, Palworld doesn't actually copy any code or assets. The designs are inspired, sure, but not directly stolen, and legally, that's a gray area. I'm not a lawyer, nor was I too invested back then with the entire legal battle between Nintendo and Pocketpair. But anyways, Pocketpair always maintained they designed everything from scratch, and given the massive variety in pals, animations, and systems, it's clear a lot of work went into it. Still, the controversy only made the game more viral. People love a little drama, and Palworld had just enough spice to keep the internet watching. And of course, with Nintendo being your competitor, there was bound to be some sort of legal battle. Another thing that helped the game thrive was mods. Since it launched on PC, modders went wild. Within days, people added Pokemon skins over pals, better UI models, base automation tweaks, full weapon overhauls, and even Halo-style guns. The modding scene kept the game fresh, added replayability, and even gave people reasons to keep playing, and gave the players that had moved on a reason to dive back in. It also made Palworld even more meme-worthy, which only boosted its online visibility. A similar thing that comes to mind for me is Jurassic World Evolution, and the way people have added, for example, skins from Dinosaur King or Rudy from the Ice Age movie, those types of mods into the game. It adds a bit of meme-worthiness, but also a bit more replayability as there's now more fun things to do. Palworld also avoided one of the biggest traps of modern gaming: bad live service. There were no microtransactions, no battle passes, no energy timers, no pay-to-win mechanics. You pay once, you get the full experience. Simple, and as it should be. And because it's early access, Pocketpair kept updating the game with new content and patches based on player feedback. They're active on social media, and they communicate transparently, and they actually listen. It's refreshing, and players noticed. I myself find Palworld now to be one of those games that have the same feel as Minecraft, for example, where you have 2 weeks where you just fall deep into a constant grind, and then it maybe falls a bit off again, and then maybe a couple of months later you again just find yourself in this grind. You know, that type of on and off grind. But when you're in the grind itself, and especially along with friends, it's some of the most fun moments you'll ever have. Palworld's success isn't just impressive, it's important. It shows that players are craving innovation. We want games that take risks, even if they're weird, especially if they're weird. It also puts pressure on big studios. If a small team can make something this fun, this ambitious, and this successful, what's stopping AAA studios with massive budgets? The message is pretty clear: fun over brand loyalty. And I'm not saying that Pokemon now should make a game where you can give Pokemon guns. No, I'm not saying that every game should try to appeal to a darker sense of humor or anything like that. They should stick to what their brand is, but just don't be lazy. So what's next for Palworld? Pocketpair has big plans. They've promised more pals, more biomes, PvP content, endgame raids, multiplayer improvements, and a full story mode. There's even talk of Palworld getting an official console release on Nintendo Switch, though that last one might be a bit tricky given, well, you know, Nintendo. If they keep updating consistently and stay true to their vision, Palworld could easily become a long-term staple in gaming, like Minecraft or Terraria, and that's pretty wild to think about. And it would be pretty cool also to see that happen. So what did Palworld teach us exactly? That chaos can work, that memes can sell games, and that freedom and fun still matter more than polish and perfection. It's a reminder that gaming doesn't have to be predictable. Sometimes the weirdest idea in the room becomes the biggest hit. And if nothing else, Palworld let us live out our dreams of putting a penguin into a rocket launcher and using a fox as a flamethrower. And if you ask me, that's beautiful. Let me know what you think of Palworld down in the comments. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you still a bit confused by it? Did you never give it a try? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.